All right, welcome to Center 3 in our ELF unit on erosion. Center 3 is going to deal with how water is a force of erosion, and we're going to discover the power that raindrops have on the earth. This is a floor space center, so when you are picking where you're going to do it, you should find a spot on the floor with plenty of room for you and the kids and the activity that you're going to do. You might want to start by discussing some of the things that are in the outline. It asks you to discuss how might raindrops cause erosion, what would be the difference between a few raindrops and many raindrops or a giant heavy rainstorm, and how would that change? How would that be affected, like in the here and now versus over a long period of time? And you might want to also talk about what rain does to topsoil. And then you can, for the older kids, you might want to discuss mudslides in California if you want to review some of that and the effects that that has on their environment. This center involves experiments that show how raindrops cause weathering and erosion on soil and materials from different soil types. So we have three different simulations of three different soil types. We have flour, which is meant to represent dry, fine soil. We have sand, which is meant to represent sand. And we have gravel, which is meant to represent small rocks / gravel. So before you get started, you might want to, after you've talked to them about some of the effects of water has on the environment, you might want to get this sheet. And you can just fill it out as a group and talk about the effects of raindrops on different types of soil. So you would have them make a prediction. What do you think is going to happen when you drop raindrops on the dry, fine soil? Is it going to poof out? Is it going to just absorb it? What do they think might happen? And the same with the sand and the same with the gravel. Then there's a space for your observations as well. So you're going to take and you're going to spread out this blue plastic so that you keep your area cleaned up and free of ELF disaster when ELF is gone. And you'll spread this out further. You'll have a blue plate, and then on that blue plate you put a piece of wax paper, and then you'll take just a spoonful of whatever it is that you're testing, put it on your wax paper, and you could start with an eyedropper, and you're going to start, it'll be the kid's waist high, so pretend I'm a kid. And you'll go ahead and drop it, and it didn't land in the middle of it. Alright, so go ahead and drop it. You may have to do it from there. So it poofed, and then you'll try to get it higher, like more, if you can aim. Which is, I'm struggling. Which might be another reason to go for the water in the baby bottle. That might give you a better chance at accuracy. Not. So, write down what happens on your observation and/or discuss it if you'd rather. And then you'll do the same thing on another blue plate, which is in the bin. There are 2 more blue plates. And you'll put wax paper on those, and you'll put a spoonful of the sand, and you'll do the raindrops and see what happens, and compare that to what happened to the flour. And then same thing with the gravel, compare that to what happened to the sand and the flour. So let's see. So compare your results to your predictions, and then talk about the composition of the soil. Does loosely compacted soil, is it more prone to erosion, or is the more compacted soil prone to erosion? Rainwater causes weathering when it hits the surface of soil and carries away lots of soil when it rains. So that might be a difference between the gravel, for instance, the discussion of that, and the flour and the sand, in that this probably won't get carried away versus these lighter kinds of soils would. So for each rotation in your center groups, only use a spoonful of each. Otherwise we'll run out. If we do run out, take a look in the extra ELF supply bin that's in the ELF closet, and if that's running low, please give us a shout at the email address that I'll give you in a second. And I think that's pretty much it. You're just doing comparisons of different soil types and the effects of raindrops on them in this center. So this will be a messy center, so it's really important that you clean up and that things aren't put back in here wet. Even lightly wet ends up causing all kinds of trouble for the next group that's coming. They have to clean up before they set up. So please spend an extra 10 minutes or whatever, 5 minutes, whatever it takes to wipe things dry. All the stuff that's on the wax paper, that can just get thrown away. You don't need to save that. We don't need that back. The intro video has lots of important information on it that will give you good background on the whole erosion concept we're discussing. I mentioned the extra supply bin. There's a drying sand bin that will be located in the ELF closet as well. We are in dire need of dry sand and we're recycling our sand, so please give it a stir and help us out drying it. And if you have any questions, comments, or complaints, mitchellelf@gmail.com.